If it's on top and you mix it in, is it fucking different? It should be inside all along.
That's my issue with Ben and Jerry's at the moment. They have a thing now where Ben and Jerry's tubs, and it's like, oh, it's a new thing, and there's just like a layer of like something on top, and it's like, no, I want it mixed in. I don't want it on top. I'm just gonna eat it all at the start because I'm a fucking pig, and I'm not gonna wait until the end.
So what is the difference, William?
What's the point?
So
Ben
would you say
or
that
Jerry?
vanilla ice cream with hot fudge on it, there's no difference between that and chocolate ice cream?
What?
No, but I don't think there's much of a difference between the fudge being like marbled in to the ice cream.
There's a huge difference.
Not that much. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do that anyway. I'm gonna mix it myself. I'm not just gonna eat the fudge separately like an animal.
You are.
I have a plate of ice cream.
I'm gonna do this.
I have a picture of fudge.
And then I'm not an animal, I swear.
I love the image of someone having like a sundae ice cream, but every part separately.
I was just about to say that's how I eat my ice cream. I have the vanilla ice cream. I have the chocolate
Chopped nuts.
I have the fudge.
Yes.
I have the chopped nuts, and I just take a
Mix them in your mouth.
Yeah, exactly.
Perfect.
It's all one in your stomach, man.
That's my next IRL stream. Just done, sorted.
All right, well.
So we're going to the goblins.
Damn, save us.
Nah, this is an Ollie stream start. He just did what I did, and look, it works. It gives him a chance to eat, gives him a chance to prepare.
I'm eating food that my in-laws grilled, and I found like a grill brush piece in my food.
I wonder.
Don't ever buy a grill brush that has bristles. Those are super dangerous because then you find like a chunk of metal like this big in your food, but you don't find it, so you eat it, and then it sits in your throat and your intestines.
They aren't dangerous. They're only dangerous if you are careless with them.
But they're unpleasant.
If you eat them, they could kill you. Studies have shown that many children have died because of it.
Really?
Well,
I'm not a child.
Make sure when you clean your grill, there's none left on your grill.
Oh, I just use a smart grill brush, so I don't have to worry about that. But
Oh,
okay.
does it have like iPhone integration?
Yeah, say. Your grill is now clean.
Only a matter of time. Good, that would be so good because it could tell me like when things are cooked through. It'd be so good.
My dishwasher and my air conditioning unit are, and it's kind of cool.
Air conditioning, I totally understand.
Yeah, I'm just like, oh, I'm not home. I'm turning it on. When I get home, it'll be cold.
Mm.
A lot of people do it now, the Nest and everything.
No thanks. I still don't believe in having the Alexa. Alexa, play me. I'll just press play. Or the turn on the light one. I do this because I'm old.
Are you bones from Star Trek? You just don't trust new technology?
I just don't need it. I just don't need to not get off my ass to turn on a light.
I do admit I don't understand voice on the computer. Like, I get it, but I can just type.
I also
It doesn't work anyway.
I also don't mind having 4 remotes to control my TV. I don't mind it. I don't need.
That's one of those things that's where you and I never understand.
That's what parents do.
You seem to willingly inconvenience yourself just to be like, oh, we're old souls.
No, we just don't care. It's like I could go out and buy a $300 remote and spend 6 hours programming it for it to like lose its battery.
They all do it automatically now. They all do it automatically.
Not if you have a Vizio TV with a Samsung.
No, seriously. They do it automatically.
I've
never had a problem.
I'm telling you because I had to help my grandparents fix the programming my dad did for them when he first bought them a really expensive remote. No, they don't. So
you're buying the wrong thing. If you buy like a smart TV package now, it just goes.
If you buy the package,
yeah.
But I buy the thing that's on sale and probably 2 years outdated because I'm cheap.
There's your problem, wanker.
Well, why would I spend $8,000 on something I could buy for $2,000?
That's the first time I've heard Ollie call anyone a wanker.
It isn't as common
That's the first time
an
I've ever
English
heard.
insult as you think it is. But it comes out.
All right, damn, please.
Take
Take control.
Okay, so it's like viewer count just drops. Like wanker. Nope.
They love it.
It actually went up. So.
They love it.
So I think I get a more live feed than you guys get because I see that. It doesn't matter. So anyways, continuing on. You guys are finish up your research and everything that you're doing at the house Thorani, more or less library, like open library of secret informations and stuff like that you can find everywhere, including that name that William totally didn't write down.
I wrote it down.
did.
Oh,
I did write it down. Thank you very much.
Oh, wow.
Take that back, sir.
I'll totally send you the correct spelling later on. So you guys get all this information while you're there and start making your. You can leave the place to head towards the cavern that you were able to discover through your contacts with the goblin kin that exist on this island, anyways. So when they bring you to the cave entrance that you are looking for this whole while, the place that you need to go to, where you have your bag of goodies with you. Eric, would you like to remind us what your bag of goodies is? Stop trying to go.
It is. I have a lung of a. God, I always forget what they're called. Gorgon. A lung of a gorgon, and that's the only thing I remember off the top of my head.
Are you kidding me? The tongue of a cockatrice. What is it? The eyes of a basilisk. And the heart of a stone of a stone golem that you had to destroy.
Now, to be quite honest, they're probably just all a mush pile at this point, with the exception of the gorgon organ, which I'm pretty sure was made out of metal.
No, because Ollie preserved them with gentle repose.
This is why you want a frickin'. I don't have that spell.
There you
No, I don't.
There you do.
Oh, I actually do. Yeah, technically. But here's how little I give a fuck about that spell. I haven't even got it in my spell book. I know I can cast it, but I'm never gonna cast it. So
Moving on. So when you make your way over towards the cave entrance that you come to, I mean, this is one of those things where, you know, stone cutting would, you know, come in handy or whatever. But as you guys go walking towards the cave entrance, at first glance, it looks as though this is a natural cave. But as you're walking throughout it and really like taking in the sights, you know, remarking the different aspects of the actual cave itself, you realize that at one point in time, this was not a natural cave. At one point in time, this was actually something that was carved intentionally to be here. But weathering, because it's on the side of a mountain, the heavy winds that come through here, the rainfall, the natural storms that happened on the island, so on and so forth, have battered into here enough that it actually wore it away to look like a typical cave, something you probably wouldn't have ever spent a moment to focus on if you were walking by anyways, looking for this place intentionally. So as you go walking through this cave, and it looks natural at first, the deeper and deeper you go, the more and more of the formation that was originally there you can find. And you can see the, once again battered, but the remains of Takani styled cave as you finally come to a wall on the far end. Now, this wall is a bit of a sight that kind of catches you off guard. It's one of those things where when you're led there by the goblin kin that exist on this island, so when they bring you into this cave, they only walk as far as, and this is unusual because they are goblin kin, as far as the light touches before they just tell you no, they won't go any further. Once you get to the area with shadows, where it's darker than it is bright, they don't continue any further, and you guys have to bring yourselves there. When you get to the through the cave deep enough in, that you finally come to the wall that exists on the other side. The wall is something that is grotesque to three of you, but quite a curiosity to one. The wall that you end up coming to is a wall of flesh itself.
Interesting.
And it takes a moment to kind of like regard what it is. Like, why does this wall seem so strange? When you reach out and you touch it, you feel that the wall has an actual warmth to it. You're like, that is weird and squishy. You come to the realization that it's flesh, complete with actually tufts of hair here and there and whatnot, though no clothing, of course.
I feel like Bellum was leading the way, even though he's the blind one, and he's just like, oh,
Hey.
what? Oh, God! Anyway, sorry.
No, you're fine. Just gross.
Will I be familiar with this as a practice?
No, you would not. This is a rather grotesque thing. So, sorry. And Ollie, just so you know, you would be able to have your hands on the spell Dark Vision if you cared to have grabbed it along the way, knowing that you were going to be doing your quest for Ryyk and knowing that.
if we are in, so we're in a cave right now, right?
Correct. And you knew you were going to be going into a cave.
Let me look at how long the cast spell Dark.
8 hours it lasts for.
Oh, if it's 8 hours, I would have cast it on.
Yeah.
Bellum.
In theory, you need to cast it 3 times a day for him, or at least twice, and just he doesn't watch in his bedtime. But moving on. So you.
I just cast it when we're doing a mission.
Yeah, when you do important things, he could be blind the rest. Well, he could theoretically just have torches the rest of the time, right?
Yeah.
So when Bellum, like you guys said, lead the way through there, and you come across the wall, and you're like, "What is this thing?" It seems strange. And you touch it, and you feel it, and again, it's a bit of a curiosity. I imagine that you would back off, kind of grossed out. Kieran and Ryyk might be a bit repulsed at first, anyways, and Stalbor might even be so curious he'd reach out and also touch it. And to which Stalbor, you can definitely feel not only the warmth but the pulse that exists therein.
Oh, it's alive.
You guys are welcome to roll me either perception if you care to stay aback, or investigation if you care to be up front. Checks on this wall.
Well, we know what I'm gonna roll.
What was it? What was the first? I heard investigation. What was the other one?
Investigation or perception if you want to. Or
I kind of want to do an Arcana check on the wall.
well, you could do that as well, but first roll me the other one.
All right.
Ah, that was not what I meant to collect. Sorry.
I katana the
You
wall.
you say I want an Arcana. He's like, katana? Me too.
I want to katana this thing. Please make it dead.
Oh, I like that.
Oh, jeez, that was funny. So anyways, with your investigation check first, Ollie, which was extremely high, you were actually able to come to the realization that a portion of this wall of flesh that exists before you, a portion of it is actually has a bit of scar tissue that almost looks carved into it. Your investigation check is so high that looking at the wall, you realize that the precision of the blade that would have been used to cut it would have been a very fine blade, not so fine as to go back to way in the days of season 1, but the type of blade that would have been used to do this probably would have been those that you're familiar with seeing Ryyk use, Dakani style blades. Anyways, the carving that you find in here is actually spells out words written in Goblin. Do you speak Goblin?
No, but I will mention that it was clearly cut with folded Dargun steel.
And Ryyk himself, you guys are RP, and then I'll be able to let you read it. Go ahead, Ryyk, as he explains that to you.
So if he says that, then I can't see what he's talking about, right?
No, you can. Once he points it
I
out.
can point it out.
Yeah.
Then I'm going to kind of look it over. It's in Goblin, you said?
Correct. So,
Right, so
when you read the words in Goblin, so more or less you just look up and read it. When you read the words in Goblin, you see a pound of flesh for each of the sinners. Sorry, a pound of flesh for the transgressions of each of the sinners.
pound of flesh for the transgression of each of the sinners. So I speak that aloud.
I take out a knife and I hand it to Lark. There you go.
I say I've never heard this. Pound of flesh.
Why is every culture so obsessed around the concept of sin? Why can't people just be happy?
I mean,
I agree.
Ryyk, don't you have a sack of flesh?
Well, in my defense, it wasn't taken from sinners; it was taken from monsters.
And then technically, they don't each weigh a pound apiece. They weigh.
They're probably there's probably like 20 pounds of stuff I have in my bag from 5.
And they've
months.
lost several pounds.
The
in the
lungs alone are probably 20 pounds.
Now,
The lung.
so I know this is going to be kind of a weird esoteric question, but so the pound of flesh thing comes from like a Shakespeare play. Is there like some sort of equivalent in this world that would render that pound of flesh a relevant term, or would it be just kind of a random
a turn of phrase?
You can actually roll a history check, and because this is Dakani Empire, you obviously get your advantage.
Yeah, boy, that's what I'm talking about.
Can't wait to get legend lore if we get it. Just get over.
I love
this.
that spell. I mean, you know how much I was using that in your campaign before.
Damn.
I love that spell.
So good. Oh,
I
good,
want to
Eric.
play it
22.
all the time.
So the flesh bit actually refers back to one of the old Dakani emperors that existed beforehand. They were very much so this is kind of like anybody post this emperor that was in power before, really didn't use these kind of like draconian or archaic methods unless it was like something of an extreme or fell into the hands of extremists that kind of held to these old ideals. Again, all cultures have not like 3 different aspects, but like many, many, many different facets to them, right? So there's this old emperor that existed in the Khani Empire long ago, was one that very much believed in the rule of law. As a matter of fact, they're the ones that really injected and uplifted the rule of law to the Khani people at one point in time. And those that transgressed against those laws had very, very heavy punishments. Those punishments include things like severing of digits or limbs, actual flaying of the flesh, removal of tongues, removal of the nose, plucking of an eye, so on and so forth, depending on what they were. So they were very aggressive, very like almost like torture is what they would do to those that broke the laws. And these laws were upheld by many soldiers that often themselves bore the scars from their own transgressions prior to joining the military from like their youth. And there was no age cutoff. Children were also subjected to this at the time as well. So because of like the time frame that when this, as far as your research is able to say, that this place kind of fell apart, if these methods were used, it was very likely a point needed to be made. Like it's like pulling like a leaf out of an old book saying a point is being made.
So my character would kind of give a brief description of what I was thinking about as I was kind of going over it in my head. But you would see I would not seem proud or happy about this. I would kind of have a very stoic look on my face, and I just say, "It's unfortunate that the only way to learn is from one's mistakes."
Yeah. Put the shit you gathered on the pedestal. See what happens.
There is no pedestal, of course. It's just a wall of pulsing flesh in front of you.
I am going to pull the stuff out, and I'm going to like start off by pressing the stuff against the wall to see what happens.
So which item are you going to use?
We'll start with the wall of flesh. Let's see.
Do the freshest one because it's less gross.
They've all been gentle reposed, but the lung is the freshest.
When Stalbor casts Gentle Repose, it's still
They
not
were
as
already
good.
gross.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think.
There's a smell.
I'm gonna try the
Stale.
I'm gonna try the eyes first to see, because it's a wall. Maybe I'm supposed to turn it to stone. I don't know.
Sure. So you take the eye and you look at it and you try to use it looking at the wall. And I imagine as Ryyck's doing this, Stalbor looks it over and almost immediately picks up what it is that you're trying to do, because Stalbor is brilliant and rolled a really high Arcana check. So Stalbor is trying to like look this wall over. Let me go to the Arcana check and back to you, Ryyk. When he's trying to look the wall over, he comes to the realization that the kind of magics that would have been used to do this would have been a duality sort of magic. Either it was literally somebody severed flesh off of somebody and used transmutation magic to make this appear. Somebody potentially used conjuration magic to make something like this appear, but realistically,
From the meat dimension that Wolverine gains his flesh back when he's damaged.
But
Clearly.
Realistically, that wouldn't make much.
That's
wouldn't make
canon.
much sense.
If it sounds weird,
Wouldn't make much sense because it depends on which universe you're reading there, Ollie. So anyways, wouldn't make much sense because then there's no there would be no cost, like if you just summoned it, right? Or it was a combination of necromancy and transmutation to literally pull it from people and transform it all at once, right? And blended spells do exist, usually in older magics, the newer fine-tuned magics that are taught by
reimagined.
Yeah, so there are some like Aranel magics that are very blended because they don't. The way that magic
And the whole thing about Fallen is that they had their own blend as well.
Yeah. Oh, yes. They definitely did up there, and because again, it's part of the older magics like Aranel learned. The magics that I typically thought of that you find like the PHB and whatnot are the magics that are taught on Corvair, by Arcanum and the like. But moving on. So you know that this was probably used by that sort of a thing. A spell that wouldn't really exist nowadays, or would be hard to find, but interesting. You see him take out the eye and look at it. But Stalbor, the eyes of a basilisk work how? By meeting gaze with them.
Yes.
So
this thing doesn't have eyes.
Correct. so it doesn't really work. And you probably come to this realization.
You
I
know,
let
the
him try.
Gorgons are pretty good at breaking down walls.
I believe
saw
this
that.
most likely is not the best concept.
So I have the
Kieran chimes in what she said there.
I have the Gorgon's lung. I have the stone heart, which I don't think would be appropriate here. Though maybe pulsating has something to do with it. I don't know. Just a thought. Trying to think what else might work here.
Or the lung of the basilisk, or the lung of the Gorgon.
So
I'm gonna go with the Gorgon lung. I'm gonna Gorgon lung the wall.
You just like push it against it.
Well, I mean, like, would it be possible to like press on the Gorgon lung and make it spew some grossness?
Try to pop it. A balloon.
Ugh, no.
You might
So
need
you try to do it like, I forget what they're called, but like the thing that you use to
Starting a fire.
Bellows.
Feed a fire, bellows. Thank you. You use a bellow. He uses the bellows. So you try to use like a bellows against the wall, and actually, as you do so, as you press on that lung, you can see it's very faint. It's a much more pale color than what the others had seen before when they were fighting against the Gorgons, but it works nonetheless. Even though it's diluted, the greenish kind of gas that comes pushing out of this lung as you use it like a bellows. And it doesn't take one push; it takes a few different pushes to make this happen. You're able to kind of like crust over the entire wall, forming all of it into a stone as you go. And when you finally come to the ends, the entire wall, though some thicker than the others, like a stronger stone than the others, is completely transformed into a stone-like material.
Okay.
I hope that's what you were meant to do, because I think it wasn't. But it worked.
It did work, but I just don't really know what I was supposed to do.
That's what happened to me. That right there.
It was a lot faster when it happened to you.
You're fine.
In theory.
Got better.
I mean, it did take him several minutes. It took you 6 seconds there, Will. So maybe 7 seconds.
I look it over. I don't even know what to do at this point. Unfortunately, I can't even.
My theory.
That seems wrong.
Relying on the wall being alive, but you just killed it. It's likely whatever blood magic that your ancestors conjured to use to create it probably won't work now that it's petrified.
I mean, either way, we were assuming we need to get through the wall, yeah?
This is why I should have had my opening spell. I always need the opening spell. Whenever I don't have it, I always need to open a door.
I mean, blood magic was more your ancestors and those who controlled them. And
it was a wall of flesh.
Was more my magic.
Wall of flesh.
I am going to
Go ahead, Will.
not do anything because I don't have anything to do anything with.
Is there some part?
We need to tear through this wall.
The majority of the wall is still flesh, correct?
No, you turned it all to stone.
It's all to stone, but some of the wall still has like a little bit of like, it's not as thick of stone as it is in other areas.
I'm gonna zap it.
Do it. I probably should have just cut through it initially, but I thought maybe I was supposed to do something.
Here's what I thought we were meant to do. I think it wanted us to sacrifice blood back to the wall.
Jesus.
I'm gonna zap it.
So you throw electricity at stone.
Can lightning bolt at it? That seems.
Where it's specifically a little bit lighter.
So if you take the lightning and you just throw it at the stone, unfortunately, lightning is like the least effective element you can choose against stone, as we all learned in the first gym in Pokemon. So.
Yeah.
Unless you just grind your Pikachu up to level 20, he learns Body Slam, it's fine. You're good to go.
But he stops.
That's
He stops
not
listening to
lightning.
you. He stops listening
Oh my
to you.
god!
At level like.
But he also doesn't
7.
use electricity. He uses Body Slam,
Oh my god!
which is a bludgeoning
Well,
attack.
I take out a crowbar, and I just start whacking at the stone to just chip away as much as I can.
So seeing her like hurl lightning at the wall, and it's one of those. It's a fucking powerful spell. Kieran is, and it's a small area. And everyone's like, ah! Bellum probably like glad that didn't hit me. Pulls out a crowbar and just starts chipping away at the wall, and it does. It does chip away at where it is that you're hitting it. I mean, using a simple crowbar to get the job done is going to take a considerable amount of time, but you are chipping away at the stone.
I hand Bellum my mining pick.
And the chunks that are falling off the wall are stone pebbles that sit on the ground.
I mean, what I could do is I could do the trick I've done before with these kind of materials. I could do like a ray of frost to make it cold, and then like a fire orb to make it hot, and kind of chip away at it that way.
Sure. So more or less, so you kind of like will heat a spot so it's easier for him to like cut into, sort of thing.
I'll do ray of frost, and then I'll do a fire chromatic orb.
And this is the same spot. So
superheated air.
You do those things like back and forth, and Bellum comes with Stalbor has a mining pick. It actually pertains to his background from level 1, but that doesn't matter.
The mining pick we picked up in Dreadhold.
Oh, nope, you're correct. My apologies. I was thinking of something else. So anyways, with the mining pick, and it's kind of like, hey, look what I got, Bellum. Bellum's like, thanks. And Bellum, which, by the way, I think it's funny that Bellum is the one doing this and not the person with the 21 strength from the belt that he wears.
No,
that's okay.
yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah, Bellum's not even strong. He's just like, this is the better idea than throwing lightning at it. So
I am Quark.
Well, now I'm throwing ice and fire at it.
Bellum doesn't even lift.
Bellum does not lift, bro.
I don't even lift, bro. So anyways, Bellum is smashing against the wall with the pick, and you're actually doing this in the same spot. Like, so with the spot that you originally chose to start hitting this, and then she's assisting with Bellum, where was that? Like, if you imagine the wall in front of you, and this wall is not small, it's a pretty decent sized cave area that you're in. What region, like the center?
Probably, if we're talking crowbar hitting, probably not where the words were, because I assume the words are still there, because it was, but just in a deep stone cut. So not where the words were, below the words, in the center, but below the words.
Absolutely. So you're like smashing away at that with a pick, and she's assisting you. This goes on for about 4 or 5 minutes, and it's unfortunately taking a considerable amount of time. You're pouring sweat, so on and so forth. But after a while, you finally do break in, and you pierce through an area, and it's kind of one of those funny things where as you chip in, you feel it break through into like a pocket that's there. And you grab the thing, and you pull on it a couple times, takes a second, and maybe like right as Stalbor's offering, oh, do you need a hand with that? And you're kind of like, fuck you, buddy, you've been making me do this the whole time by myself. You like rip back, and you actually peel away. There's like an opening inside the center of the wall. And the opening that's there is a very like off circular. It's a very odd shaped opening that seems to it's a decent size, almost like something that you could fit your 2 fists in there if you held them together, but not so large that you could like stick your head in or something, right? And you go examining it. Oh, so who goes examining it? I should ask. My apologies.
I would look at Stalbor and say, well, I broke it.
I would pick up Ryk's bag of things and immediately try and find something that fits in there.
Sure. So you pick up the 3 different things that are there, and like kind of looking at them, probably not making eye contact with the eyeball, just in case. And and you realize that it's about the same size as the heart.
Yeah, I put the heart in there.
Sure. And once you put the heart into the little opening, you can feel like as soon as you put the heart in there, you see the heart beat once, and the whole wall like pulses, then pulses again, and then completely crumbles before you. The entire wall just crumbles.
Our first turn of this game of Conqueror was flipping the table, but we can make the rest of them count.
I don't see what's wrong with flipping the table.
I know you don't. So does it start like moving anything when it starts pulsing?
No, as I said, the whole wall cracks and crumbles. It actually crumbles before you.
What do we see?
Oh, and what's behind it then?
My apologies. Yeah. So once it crumbles, it opens up behind it is actually a very well preserved formation of the cave that goes into there. So it actually opens up, and you can actually see, because your dark vision extends 60 feet, you can see it's going to open up into a room after you continue moving forward a bit. But you can actually see it's a very well preserved area on the other side. This is clearly where groups of people were. Groups of people were where the Connie peoples had carved into the walls, and they have that wonderful kind of majestic design put in the sides of them to the ceiling. The pillars that are built into the wall, but it's more of a style than it is an actual structural integrity thing.
I guess I would just walk forward.
Sure. As you guys start walking forward, you hear like the rubble behind you settling at first, but then you realize it starts to move more and more and more. And you kind of like look back, and it gets everybody's attention. You look back, and you see the rubble is like building up on itself and building all together until it finally forms before you. And it takes not a bit of time, it's actually relatively quickly. It forms behind you a huge size, taking up pretty much the entire area of the cave entrance, a huge sized golem or earth elemental or whatever it might be. Obviously you wouldn't be able to tell until you've like interacted with it in some hopefully non-combative way, forms behind you. And after it finishes forming, it actually turns around to face you. And then its arms drop down by its side and it holds still. As this thing's forming, what are you guys doing? Kieran, not lightning bolt.
Hey, don't you tell her how to run her character.
It's true.
Now, calm down, everyone. We gave this thing life. It should answer to us. It's a thing of magic. That's how it works.
I don't think that's how parenting works, though.
You gave it a heart.
Well,
and now
I'm
it's
not a
alive.
parent, Ryyk, and I don't intend to be one. Ryyk?
I will
Okay.
activate my gem. And then in common, I'll just be like, are you friendly?
It doesn't respond.
I'm going to step up to it. Like right in front of it and look up.
I'm prepared to cast a spell. If it attacks us.
You step up to it. It does nothing.
I
Guys,
think it's harmless, guys.
yeah, guys, it's just here. It didn't do anything to us. Let's leave.
I think it's meant to protect this place. We opened it. Now it needs to protect it from outsiders, but not us, because we gave it life.
Bellum would agree to that.
Now I will postulate that it may attack us when you try to take whatever kind of juicy loot that you're here for. Because if you've ever sort of there's a lot of research journals about tomb raiders and go to uncharted places, and often it's the way out that is the problem.
I hear if you replace the loot with something that weighs the same as the loot, typically you can get away with it.
Jesus.
I don't think that ever worked in any movie or video game ever.
Hold on. Ready? Ah. Oh!
Like, it never works.
They always make it last long enough for you to think it works.
I was gonna say, I think I, as a DM, have done that where it's like, it works. Psych, like a turn later.
It's like the trap's pondering for a second.
Yeah.
This.
You just bought yourself some time.
No, I made my
No.
investigation
Oh,
check.
you jokesters. You hucksters.
So I suggest that we continue on, keep a wary eye behind us, just in case.
I agree.
So, as Stalbor, with no concern whatsoever, turns its back to the thing and starts walking away from it.
I'm gonna hunter's mark it. I could find it easier. That's specifically why.
That's fair. In case you think you're going to get lost in the cave.
Yeah.
It's only a first level spell, so not so bad.
Yeah.
Why not, right?
Why not? I can think of several reasons. So, you make your... do you want to do a higher level spell slot to make it 8 hours or whatever? Or no.
Nope. Just for the hour, and if we're here longer, then
Yeah, you might end up using concentration for something else later anyway.
That's why
Yeah.
I wanted to trick him into doing it, Ollie.
no, I would not use my level 2 spells for
It's
that.
my job as a DM, have to be 3 or higher. It's my job as a DM to try to make you use all of
it's-
your abilities.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
I don't even
She's
have
the
3rd
bastard.
level spells.
You liar.
So,
I couldn't even do that.
Some DMs like their players to succeed.
I like it when you succeed against all odds. Drink a potion. So you guys just finished a full rest. Would you like to drink a healing potion? So, anyways, you make your, so you, like I said, and as you're walking with your back to it, as you're walking away from it, full confidence, you then walk past the other 3 people that were watching with a bit of concern and continue away into the cave. I imagine Ryyk and Bellum relatively confidently turn and follow you as well. And Kieran hangs back for a few extra moments, hoping that it moves. Hoping. But unfortunately it doesn't, so she doesn't cast her lightning bolt. And you
Lightning bolt it.
make your way into the room beyond. So what you do see into the room beyond is so this is the antechamber, the opening that would be to this region or whatever this place was down here before. It's not small. and it's not unimpressive. As soon as it opens up, it's actually about 4 steps down, and these aren't small steps either. They're actually pretty good sized steps even for a hobgoblin. It's one of those things where it's designed to make you like regard each step you take as you go down. Off to the far side, there are smaller steps that would have been used for, like, say, goblinkin or the like, but those are lesser goblins, so generally they would have to go out of their way to comfortably be able to climb down. And the ceiling itself very quickly rises up into a huge dome-like ceiling. Looking up at the ceiling from where you are, and the place is dark, it's completely dark. Looking at the ceiling, for the parts that you can see, there's actual like inscriptions, pictures carved into the ceiling. It's too dim in here to be able to take it all in, because your eyes can only see so far. But the room opens up, and it's rather grand. The grounds of the room you're walking into, it's like a slate design, so like a carved groove design, not a place where you'd have to deal with water or blood pouring or anything like that, but despite that, it has this like beautiful circular design to it, where it kind of like fans out from the middle, from the center of the room. Throughout the room, you can see there are a considerable number of corpses strewn about here and there. There's actually a significant number of them. So you see them like here and there all over the place. I'm gonna do investigation checks in a second. When you look throughout there, you also see like things are preserved fairly well because the cave was sealed off. They're preserved fairly well, but you see like rotted wooden beds and the stuff like cots that were set up in this area too. You see like sometimes there's like some holding each other in their death, so on and so forth. Stalbor, you can roll me your
medicine
with an advantage if you'd like. Others, feel free to roll me investigations if you.
I will start talking as we're doing it.
Or perceptions if you care to look about.
It appears to me that this looks like the aftermath of some sort of refugee crisis. Perhaps your ancestors were trying to escape the horrible horrors of their wars.
I say that's quite likely.
I cast Sift for any type of traps or secret doors or anything like that.
Or treasure.
I don't really care about treasure. It's the traps and secret doors that I'm really concerned with.
Absolutely. What's your passive when you do that?
It's +5.
It's +5, plus I already have a +10, so very high.
25?
Yeah.
So it's passive investigation for the 25. So you do like a quick like look around, try to like see if there's any traps or anything. And more or less you just kind of like hone in for a second, like look into yourself, allow you a mark to reach out for any like immediate dangers or treasures that you might be able to find that are intentionally hidden or the like. You do not find any such things here. Nothing that you'd have to worry about.
Okay, so after I do that, then I'll do an investigation roll.
Please go right ahead.
Ooh.
So, unfortunately, the three of you guys, and it's probably because you're like taken aback by what you didn't expect to see here, aren't able to figure out much at all. Ollie, you can also roll me an investigation. Your medicine was like a quick little search over 3 or 4 corpses, pretty quick, and then
ultimately it's one of those things where like Stable's smart. He's also cocky. He thinks he knows why they died. Didn't really worry about it. This is when I press one of the secret buttons. By accident.
No, I would have found the secret
button. And the walls close in.
I would have found the secret button, don't worry.
How secret is it?
It was 31 feet away from you. So, you guys look around with your perceptions, investigations, so on and so forth, trying to like take stuff in. And unfortunately, maybe it's just the gravity of the situation before you. Maybe it's just the number of people. Maybe it's because you weren't expected. Whatever it might be, you're not able to gather much more than the assertion already put forward by Stalbor when you kind of came into this room. The number of people is great. It is not small. Like looks like 100 more that are inside this room here. But coming off of this room, there is another cave. It's a single doorway that leaves here and heads out elsewhere. I imagine you guys, have your RP here before we continue on.
I will, like, as we're moving forward, like, pat Ryyk, like, on the back, like, for reassurance. As far as Kieran is capable of giving.
Well, Ryyk does not seem unsure in this situation. If anything, this has kind of made him seem more resolute.
Okay. So the four of you start making your way forward. What's the lineup, just so I know?
Probably. Oh, go ahead. I would
usually take lead unless anyone specifically says otherwise.
It's probably like
Urgently, Bellum.
We should probably
Kieran,
go.
Stalball, Ryyk, Kieran, Stalball, Bellum. Probably.
I would say Bellum should be in the middle because he can't see in the darkness.
No, I
he cast darkness on. Yeah,
Oh, okay, cool.
dark vision. Yeah, that's how.
You always want someone. The squishy people go in the middle. You've not seen that part of
I'm
Red
not
Bull?
squishy.
Very important.
You're
Oh,
squishy.
no, I am.
You are.
You can go wherever you want, and you probably will. You
Yeah.
aren't really counted because as soon as something happens, you fly away.
Yeah.
So it
No.
goes Ryyk and Kieran. So Kieran can say, move, lightning bolt, and Ryyk runs in.
Yeah.
Stalbor and Bellum pulling up the rear.
Yep.
Because Bellum can react the quickest.
Mhm.
Perfect. So you guys make your way through this room, spending a few minutes to take it in. Aren't able to really gather much, and then just decide, we should move on, and stop disturbing the long dead. You make your way into the next room. Now it's in here where Bellum. Do you intend to do that kind of a thing as you walk into each room?
Yeah, it's a cantrip. I would do that every time.
You gotta spam it. It's very rare that you go into cave scenarios like this. And
Yeah,
spam it
exactly.
each time. So as you're
Yep.
walking into the next room, you stop for a second. It's kind of like a boof, and you allow your mark to kind of reach out and send back to almost like a echolocation in your mind without screams or anything. To reach out and find things. You actually do find that in this room there are a considerable number of traps or dangers of the like that would be here if they were manned at the time. You see, they're hidden to the casual observer in the walls, but actually on this doorway that you're walking through. As soon as you walk into the doorway, you actually didn't notice it at first, and so you took the last 2 steps in, and then you put it out. You realize that 2 or 3 steps behind you, the wall above your head had a thin opening where very solid metal bars would have dropped behind you. Not so strong you guys would be unable to break through them, but strong enough to stop people from easily being able to retreat, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there's no trigger or trap or panel. What would make that drop is somebody intentionally dropping a lever to make that happen. A lever
Right.
that is currently unmanned. In the walls to your left and to your right on either side, there's going to be 2 arrow slits that are very narrow and angled into the direction of where you're currently standing. One closer to you to be able to get to that door, and one further down to get somebody more in 2/3 the way to the middle of the room, where you'd be subjected to attacks from those with ranged weapons, arrows, crossbows, whatever they might be, shooting in your direction. Also in the ceiling, you're able to immediately pick up areas where there's very thin grates that meshing very well overhead, where you imagine something like, say, oil could be dropped from above and potentially set on fire below. And then the stone, the grounds beneath you, you see is it has very thin grates where any additional liquids, maybe say blood, would be able to drip down below into some sort of a catch that's down there. This whole hallway here seems to be an incredible death trap. One that certainly gives you pause when you immediately recognize what it is. Probably a moment of panic for a second before you realize that it's clearly unmanned across the board, and all of this requires manned positions.
I would point this out, and suggest probably that Kieran let Ryyk take the first step into the rooms from now on, just in case.
He is.
No,
Yeah.
I know. I'm just reassuring, just make sure he goes first. He could take a hit a little bit better than you can.
Oh, that's why. Oh, that's rude. Sorry, Aaron.
Right. I would like to take a closer look at the ones on the ceiling. How would the people have manned these positions? Is there a tunnel to it, or is it just through this room you get up in there?
So you can't see from the angle that's here in his perception. His magical perception wasn't able to tell you.
I
But-
would bring that up to Bellum. Perhaps there's another way that people were able to assume these positions, or if they had to do it all in advance. Perhaps there are secret tunnels and passageways in this area.
It's definitely a possibility. I am a little less worried because these are all manned positions, and I don't seem to find anyone here. So I'm less worried that anyone will attack us, but it might be smart to travel through the...
Cool. Point it out to me. I'll go up and I'll check it out.
Yeah. What can I do? Like what was that, investigation to see if there's like a way into?
Absolutely, yeah. So more or less, instead of like that was a quick little. But if you want to like investigate further to see if there's an actual entrance up into that spot, like, you know what, let's actually delve a little deeper. Please go right ahead. And if somebody would like to assist him, he can do that with advantage.
Oh.
I will assist him with that because I can actually get up in the ceiling.
So if you'd like to roll that with advantage, please, Bella.
Yeah, buddy.
With a much better check. And don't forget, guys, you do have your action points and everything and, and whatnot. So, oh, and actually, because I didn't say this like I did over on my Witcher series, there's actually another type of way that you can spend the daddies moving forward starting next session. It's actually a good side, like a flip side of the trump cards that we currently use. But I wasn't allowing that access quite just yet. It'll be live next session. And it's going to be like a couple more options for you guys starting next session for you to like really be able to interact with the campaign as it moves forward in positive and negative ways. So, but let's continue on with the story. So with a bit of an investigation, the two of you searching together, while they're searching for that, what are Stalbor and Ryyk doing?
Looking around, because I may not have been paying attention in the last whole room. Sorry.
Yeah,
you know what I was doing? I was writing up my version of Sift for the Yavaskiz Player's Guide because I was like, I got a better idea how to do it.
Yeah, I would probably be looking around too, just because while they're investigating, there's not much for me to do. So I would try to help them out as best I can, but obviously I can't give them more advantages. So
I'm just keeping back. I'm kind of trying to figure out the actual purpose of this place.
This room right here?
No, the whole
Oh, you don't
place.
know yet. You don't know yet. You're not far.
That's what I'm pondering.
Yeah. Okay, so the two of you searching around, you're able to find actually on the other side. So when you get to the other side of this little hallway that's here, not too little, but the hallway that's here, you see that there's clearly another gate that drops, but this gate that drops, Bellum, after it drops, part of the drop is there's metal spikes that they like clunk down. Somebody like running forward that would be caught would be skewered by their momentum into the spikes that are there. It would lock lots of people inside this little chasm. If you had to do a quick like numbers guess in your head, more Stalbor than Bellum, you'd think this room could probably solidly trap, like if people weren't careful, solidly trap 15 to 20 inside of here and just like wipe them out, which is a pretty decent forward defense, right? Before others kind of like became the wiser. When you get through this door to the other side, you're able to realize, Kieran, that this is where the climb up is into it. Now, it's not super obvious, like, oh, there's a ladder that goes to a door. It's actually the ladder that climbs up is built into the stone of the same material, but it's designed in such a way to make it difficult to notice at first. And even up above where the area that you get into is, it's high enough up because of like the thickness of the stone, the ceiling that's there, because it's all carved in and not supported by wood or struts or anything. It's high enough up that you actually wouldn't be able to see the entrance from this angle. When you, because you're smaller, do climb up there and look in, you see that this is clearly designed to be more of like a goblin's job than it would be a hobgoblin's job. But it's wide enough that you can crawl through, whereas a goblin could run through, right? Mm-hmm. So you do crawl through to the other side to get so you're over, and here it drops down enough, like there's a bit of a step down after you get through the little tunnel that you get through. It's like a 2-step down, so you could stand there if you want to in kind of like a crouched position. You can see where they have the oils that would be used to dump down below. Now, the oils they have are all completely filled. They haven't dumped any of them whatsoever. But more curious than that is the barrels where they pour the oil from. Mm-hmm. Those barrels actually have a tube that they connect to, not like a metal tube, but like almost like a slide. Think like a laundry chute style slide, but very narrow, that is built into the wall so that more oil from somewhere up above would be able to be dropped down into here to kind of like refill it. So all they would have to do is kind of grab a lever and allow it to dump down below. and then they have a separate spot that oil does not touch, a separate little chute where they could drop like a lit torch or the like, without being concerned that, oh, that touched that oil, which is, and then all the, I'm dead. You know, it's actually designed fairly well.
It's designed so dumb goblins can do it. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
So, yeah. I just realized what you said. But the oil containers are completely filled.
Yeah, and they're small enough for a goblin to hold, right? So I can probably take one.
So they're somewhat built into the wall. But if you wanted to, like, remove the bolts that hold it together, you could hold one, and I'll make you make a check so you don't spill any.
Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna try. I'm not a rogue, so it's not really like what I'm good at, but might as well go for it.
Sure. And they do have a natural lid that's on them to once again stop them from being able to like constantly giving out fumes that could eventually build up an explosive worthy amount of gas release here. But they're not designed to be carried, right? So anyways, to release the bolt is very easy. You don't have to roll for it. But to carry it out of the place without spilling any of it is actually going to be an athletics check.
All right, let's do it. I'm gonna action point that.
She's gonna kill us all.
No,
Just
she's
cover
gonna get
herself in
coated in oil,
Not
and then
yet.
there's gonna be a fire trap, and she's gonna just roast.
No, she just cast her first lightning bolt spell.
All right, so that's a 6. So that'll be a 13.
And your 13's actually enough. I was just looking for an 11. It's a simple check.
Yeah, it's not like a 7.
Yeah, no. So if just an 11, you know, north of 10. So you're actually able to carry the barrel out with you. Now, it is a significant amount of oil. We're talking probably about let me think for a second. About 10 gallons of oil is inside this thing. So it's not light at all. 10 gallons of milk weighs 100 pounds. So Kieran, the way she brings it out, it's more of like a pushing than it is a carrying, though there's like a moment to get it over to where it is that she can push it. So you guys are scraping coming towards you.
I do.
10 gallons of milk weighs 80 pounds.
A gallon of milk, I'm pretty sure, weighs 10 pounds.
Gallon of milk weighs 8 pounds.
Are you sure? Google it.
100% positive. A pint's a pound the world around.
Christ.
1 pint is a pound. There's 8 pints in a gallon.
A pint isn't a pound the world around, because a pint is
Oh,
16
come
ounces for
on,
us
no
and 20
one
ounces
cares.
in the UK.
Kieran looked very pleased with herself, and just says, "Look what I found."
8-pound gallon. Fact.
Oh, you are the person that literally went to school for cooking, so I'll just take your word for it. And then I'll Google it later and prove you wrong. So,
Hate everyone.
but just so you know, my point of reference is when a doctor told my mom you're not allowed to pick up 10 pounds or more, and she said, "What's 10 pounds?" He said, "Don't pick up a gallon of milk." So,
I mean, that's close.
that's my point of reference. That's how I know it, not your nursery rhyme. Sorry, Aaron, you were saying something?
No, just Kieran looks very pleased with herself and like, "Look what I found."
She comes out with an 80 plus metal and everything, 100-pound container that full of oil, which is a lot of oil.
Good.
You
Flammable
found
liquid.
oil, Karen.
Yeah. We can set it on fire later.
Karen.
We're gonna fight something here.
We might
eventually.
need it.
You want us to
Let's go
carry
over
this
and
throughout
just-
the rest of the cave?
I might as well carry it in case it might be useful. It might be useful. You never know. You might need in a place like this. Have you ever been dungeon delving before, Bellum? You probably have. I retract my question.
We have not. I have not.
I've not.
Yeah, we went to the bottom of a prison.
That wasn't a dungeon. That was a prison. The prison had dungeons, but it was still a prison.
Isn't a dungeon a prison?
This is where we get into semantics.
Oh god, these are questions I was not ready to delve into today. What is real
Whoa.
life? Who
Come
are
on.
we?
Anyway,
So
sure.
just as a
Carry it
reminder,
around, Stalbor.
just a reminder to the shape of this thing. Again, imagine. Actually, probably the best way to describe it for like Will's mind is if you imagine the kind of kilns that they brew beer in, right? For the shape, and if anybody else knows what that looks like, it's a cylindrical shape that comes down to almost like a cone at the bottom.
Conical.
Conical, thank you. So it's conical at the bottom. So it's not that shaped like that because it funnels outwards. It's shaped like that because that's where it was bolted onto the lever where it was before, for it to, kind of the fulcrum where it was before, for it to be tilted and poured. So it's not something you can easily just like put down and walk away from, because it has to like rest to get something, and it'll be precarious there. But how do you intend to like stop? Are you gonna like grab some ropes and strap it to your back?
I was just gonna carry it on my shoulder.
So the lid that's on it is not like a sealed lid. This is why she was concerned with spilling it. It's like a place to top lid, not Tupperware. You don't burp it.
Oh, let's see if I have anything to help since they so want to keep this thing.
I remember in 3.5 there's a 0 level spell called
How
Stick.
much? So how heavy is this thing?
Including
100 pounds.
The container and everything, about 100 pounds.
And it doesn't have a stand to stand upright on.
Correct.
Is there anything I can use to sort of jimmy a stand in this room?
We could just put it on the carpet and drag it.
No.
No, because
You are not putting oil on my carpet.
I know
No.
to stand it upright. I can move it, but if it's not upright, it's going to leak, and then it's going to leave a fiery trail of death.
So Ollie likes to Google to play his 22 intelligence character. Why don't we leave Ollie to his Google foo while we take our next break?
No, I can't Google what is in this room you have created, Scott.
This room has nothing to make yourself a makeshift stand from. So
I can't do it. That's the answer to the question, DM.
But we'll allow Ollie to
What
Google
is in
foo
this
his
room
own
Scott
little
has
thing
created?
he wants to design. We'll see you all shortly.
Eric is so tired